Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with the greatest recordings ever. And this is not going to be a controversial choice at all, but it's not my favorite for the repertoire. That may interest you, or it may not. You will have your own favorites, of course, but it's a great recording, which is why I'm talking about it. You know, we should always be able to recognize the greatness in something, whether or not we like it. It doesn't mean we have to own it or we have to buy it, but we have to be honest. We have to be honest with ourselves. And I also think that if you have a certain standard, a certain reasonably objective standard of what constitutes excellence, then you have to call it whenever you hear it, irrespective of whether or not it may be the performance that does it for you or the one you imprinted on or any of that stuff. You know, it's a healthy thing as a listener, and certainly as a collector of repertoire that many people perform over and over, to be able to at least acknowledge something outside your own personal taste in just about everything. I mean, you're entitled to that, and you don't have to do that. But what I am saying is that if you can, and if you try, it will increase the value of your listening sessions, because you'll hear more and you will understand more of what you're hearing, and it will open you to maybe interpretive options that you would never have thought would appeal to you. So I'm just making that suggestion. I'm throwing it out there, and we'll leave it out there. We're talking now about Berlioz and Ravel's song cycles, the classic recording of Les Nuits d'été and Ravel's Shéhérazade, along with some other songs, Poulenc songs and other things, the piano, but with Regine, Crespin, and the Orchestre de la Suisse Romande under Ernest Ansermet. Yeah, I mean, on Decca. Really one of the great recordings, and one of the great recordings by one of the great sopranos, one whose discography is a little unusual and hard to pin down. You know, Regine Crespin, she sang in the Carillon Ring. Her husband was like a German language scholar, and she was totally at home in German. She created one of the major roles in Poulenc's Dialogues of the Carmelites. She sang, like I said, a lot of Wagner, and she sang Offenbach equally well. I mean, she was a chameleon in terms of her vocal work, but she was a real dramatic soprano. And this disc is one of the all-time great recital records ever made, and she was in glorious voice. It was recorded in 1962 and 1967 for some of this stuff, but 1963. 63. So everybody was in great shape. The Orchestre de la Suisse Romande, which had been steadily improving since the post-war period, was in good shape too. Decca's engineering is excellent, and it's phenomenal. Now, what do you get? You get Les Nuits d'été. Now, Les Nuits d'été, as you all know, because you've been watching these songs, this is a song cycle that I have issues with. I have issues with the order of the songs, because it wasn't originally a song cycle. It was cobbled together later by Berlioz after a bunch of songs that he wrote for different singers. And it's sometimes performed in all the versions for different singers. But the order of these songs is, I think, wrong, because you have 2 quick ones and 4 droopy ones. And the quick ones usually occur at the beginning and the end, and the 4 droopy ones in the middle, which means a huge clump of droopy slow music, which I think is a big mistake. I would start with 2 droopy ones, and then do Villanelle, which is quite short, and which usually opens the thing, in the middle, and then 2 more droopy ones, and then L'Île Inconnue, the last one, which is, sort of a little perkier. As far as it goes, but that's me. 99.9% of humanity disagrees with me and listens to it anyway. But normally, it's a monumental bore, in my opinion. It is not when Regine Crespin is singing. She's wonderful. I mean, it is true that some of these tunes get stuck in your head and drive you crazy, like Absence. Reviens, reviens, ma bien-aimée. I mean, you hear that over and over, and it gets stuck in your brain. And as you can tell, it drove me mad decades ago. So it's not my favorite piece. This, however, is maybe my favorite performance of my not favorite piece, although it's been done over and over again and quite well. Really very well by many, many singers. But the Ravel Shéhérazade. Now, my favorite Shéhérazade is Elie Ameling's on Philips, or what was Philips. Now it's Decca with Edo Devart and the San Francisco Symphony, because I just love Elie Ameling, and she's phenomenal when she sings in French. This one it's just as good. She has a bigger voice. She's a genuine dramatic soprano, as I said, which works marvelously well in the first song, which is the big long one. It's like, 10 or 12 minutes of travelogue. I wish I could see all this. It's a catalog song. And she sings splendidly, and the orchestra sounds great, and Ansermet's conducting is terrific, and it's just a glorious, glorious recording. And since the day it was issued, it's been the reference recording for both works. It really has. There are some wonderful mono ones. Suzanne Donko did them. It's just Ansermet recorded them earlier with her, I believe. So yeah, you can get this stuff all over the place. But this is a performance of rare, truly rare distinction by one of the great voices of the 20th century, who was, in my opinion, rather seriously under-recorded. So it makes a valuable addition to any collection of French songs, and of these works in particular. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.